Dr. Sarah Chen knelt in the observation room of the Galactic Exchange Station, watching three small Carthex cubs tumble over each other in play. Their silver fur shimmered under the soft lights, and their 6 legs tangled together as they wrestled. Every few seconds, one would nip at another's ear or shoulder, drawing tiny droplets of purple blood. Then they would separate, shake themselves, and begin again. "They're hurting each other," Sarah said quietly to Ambassador Vex Thor, the adult Carthex standing beside her. His massive frame towered over her small human body, his predatory eyes fixed on the cubs with what she had learned to recognize as pride. "Hurting?" Vex Thor's translator crackled with confusion. "No, Dr. Chen. They are bonding. This is how cubs learn their place in the pack. The strong bite harder. The weak learn to submit or fight back. This is the way of all civilized species." Sarah felt her stomach twist. She had been on the station for 3 months now, serving as the human representative to help facilitate Earth's entry into the galactic community. Every day brought new surprises, but this one troubled her deeply. "Not all species," she said softly. Vex Thor's ears twitched, a sign of curiosity. "Explain." Before Sarah could answer, one of the cubs broke away from the group and approached the transparent barrier separating them from the observation room. It was the smallest of the 3, with a fresh bite mark bleeding from its flank. The cub pressed its snout against the glass, staring directly at Sarah with large, golden eyes. "That one is Kira," Vex Thor said. "She is my daughter." "She will likely not survive to adulthood. She is too soft. Too weak. She does not bite back hard enough." Sarah's heart clenched. The cub looked so young, so innocent. Without thinking, she placed her hand against the glass where Kira's paw rested on the other side. "May I meet them?" Sarah asked suddenly. Vex Thor's whole body went rigid. "Dr. Chen, that would be highly irregular. These are cubs, yes, but they are still Carthex. They are predators. You are small, and your species has no natural defenses. No claws, no fangs, no armor. They might seriously injure you, even by accident." "I understand the risks," Sarah said, meeting his eyes. "But I believe there's something important your cubs need to learn. Something we can teach them." After a long moment, Vex Thor's ears flattened in resignation. "Very well. But I will remain close. At the first sign of danger, I will extract you." The ambassador opened a side door, and Sarah stepped into the cub's play area. Immediately, all 3 young Carthex froze, their noses twitching as they caught her scent. The 2 larger cubs, males named Torn and Crix, growled low in their throats. Kira simply watched, her head tilted with curiosity. Sarah sat down cross-legged on the soft floor and waited. She kept her hands in her lap and her breathing steady, just as she had done countless times with frightened animals back on Earth. Torn approached first, moving in a predatory stalk. He circled her twice, then lunged forward and nipped at her arm. His sharp teeth broke the skin, and Sarah gasped at the sudden pain, but she didn't pull away. She didn't strike back. She simply looked at the cub and said gently, "That hurt, Torn. We don't bite friends." The cub stumbled backward, confusion radiating from his posture. He had expected retaliation, dominance, submission, or fear. He had received none of these things. Crix approached next, more cautiously. He sniffed Sarah's bleeding arm, then looked up at her face. "Why not bite back?" his translator collar chirped in broken standard. "You are weak?" "No," Sarah said calmly. "I'm not weak. I'm your friend. And friends don't hurt each other where I come from." "Not even little bite?" Crix asked, his ears perking forward. "Not even to show strong?" "Not even a tiny bite," Sarah confirmed. Kira, who had been watching from a distance, finally crept forward. She was limping slightly from the wound on her flank. When she reached Sarah, she didn't bite or test. Instead, she simply pressed her small body against Sarah's side, seeking warmth. Sarah carefully placed her hand on Kira's head, stroking the soft fur. The cub's entire body trembled, and Sarah realized with shock that Kira was crying. Small, whimpering sounds escaped her throat. "She is weak." Vexthor's voice came from the doorway, though there was something different in his tone now, something uncertain. "She's not weak," Sarah replied, her hand never stopping its gentle motion. "She's just different. And different isn't the same as weak." Sarah reached into her pocket and pulled out a small medical kit. While Kira remained pressed against her side, she carefully cleaned and bandaged the cub's wound. Kira flinched at first, but then held still, watching Sarah's face with those large golden eyes. Torn and Crix approached again, drawn by their sister's unusual behavior. They watched as Sarah worked, seeing something they had never witnessed before: care without dominance, gentleness without submission, kindness without weakness. "But how do you know who leads?" Torn asked, his young voice confused. "How do you know who is strong?" Sarah finished with Kira's bandage and looked at both male cubs. "Strength isn't just about biting harder or fighting better. Real strength is protecting those who need help. Real strength is choosing not to hurt when you could. That's what makes humans strong, even without claws or fangs." Crix sat down, his tail curling around his legs. "This is strange, but—" He looked at his sister, who was now grooming Sarah's hand with her rough tongue. "Kira looks happy." "I have never seen her happy before." Over the next hour, Sarah played with the three cubs. She showed them games from Earth that didn't involve biting or fighting. She taught them about taking turns, about sharing, about cooperation instead of competition. Torn and Crix were skeptical at first, but they were also young enough to be curious, young enough to learn. When it was time for Sarah to leave, all three cubs followed her to the door. Kira pressed against her leg one more time, and Sarah knelt down to hug the small creature. "Remember," Sarah whispered to Kira, "being kind doesn't make you weak. It makes you brave." Ambassador Vexthor escorted Sarah back to the observation room. For a long time, he said nothing, simply watching his cubs. They were playing again, but differently now. Torn had noticed that Crix had a thorn stuck in his paw. Instead of biting him for showing weakness, Torn was trying to pull it out. Crix wasn't fighting back. He was letting his brother help. "This is impossible," Vexthor said finally. "You have broken 10,000 years of Carthek's tradition in one afternoon." "No," Sarah said gently. "I just showed them another way. They'll choose for themselves what kind of Cartheks they want to be." Vexthor's ears twitched rapidly, a sign of deep thought. "The galactic community believes humans are weak because you have no natural weapons, because you cooperate instead of dominate, because you form bonds without establishing hierarchy through violence." "And now?" Sarah asked. The ambassador looked down at her, and for the first time, Sarah saw something like respect in his predatory eyes. "Now I begin to understand why your species survived when so many others did not. You do not bite your friends, not even a tiny bite, and somehow that makes your friendships unbreakable." Down in the play area, Kira was showing her brothers how Sarah had cleaned her wound. She was teaching them gentleness. She was teaching them care, and they were learning. Sarah smiled. "The galaxy has a lot to learn from each other, Ambassador. We're all different. But different isn't weak. It's just different." That night, Sarah filed her report to Earth. The galactic community thought humans were fragile curiosities, soft creatures who had somehow stumbled into space despite having no natural defenses. They didn't understand yet that humanity's strength had never been in their bite. It was in choosing not to bite at all. 3 weeks later, Ambassador Vexithor requested a formal meeting with the Galactic Council. He proposed a new cultural exchange program with humans at the center. Other species needed to learn what his cubs had learned, needed to understand that strength came in many forms. The vote was contentious, but it passed. And Sarah Chen, the small human with no claws and no fangs, became the first human to formally teach at the Galactic Academy. Her first lesson was simple: we don't bite friends. And slowly, the galaxy began to understand what that truly meant.